So, 15 days after those first tweets, here's where things stand. Two of America's closest allies upset. The president's agenda overshadowed the credibility of his spokespeople in tatters. And tomorrow, a public showdown. The FBI director before Congress likely to defy the president and publicly testify that Trump's claim is simply not true. How Trump will respond to that challenge is anyone's guess. We asked the White House for a guest to address this topic. They declined, but we are joined by a close friend and ally of Christopher Ruddy, the CEO of the conservative website Newsmax. He tweeted out this photo of the president yesterday down in Florida, and he joins us now from West Palm Beach. Mr. Ruddy, thank you for joining us this morning. It looks good down there. It looks at least like you have a sunny day down there. You spend a lot of time in Mar-a-Lago. You meet with the president a lot. And 2 weeks ago when he put out those tweets, here's what you wrote. You wrote, "I haven't seen him this pissed off in a long time. When I mentioned Obama's denials about the wiretaps, he shot back, 'This will be investigated. It will all come out. I will be proven right.'" 15 days later, quite the opposite. So what is it going to take for the president to retract this statement?
George, well, first of all, thank you for inviting me on. I want to make clear I don't speak for the president. I run Newsmax. I'm an independent news agency. But I do think the press has been very unfair, and even the setup for this segment of me coming on. You know, there have been so many things for the press to discuss. Let's talk about the first 100 days of this presidency. Incredible record that the president has had. A-plus cabinet, jobs. He's creating tens of thousands of new jobs. Merkel, he had a really impressive meeting with her, probably got hundreds of billions of dollars in concessions from her, certainly an increase in the NATO budget, and the health care plan is coming. So when you come and say, oh, it's all about the wiretapping, et cetera, the president last night was with myself briefly and Alan Dershowitz, who, as you know, is not a supporter of the president. And the president was discussing that all of these leaks have taken place, classified meetings or conversations he had with the president of Mexico, the prime minister of Australia. General Flynn's private conversation was leaked. These are criminal acts. Even Alan Dershowitz said it was very, very serious stuff. But the press isn't talking about that.
We know he's upset about it. But wait a second, Chris. And I take your point about not being an official spokesperson for the president. The president sent out tweets that accused his predecessor of a felony, something illegal. Mm-hmm. Since then, as I pointed out, and I don't think you say what I said in the page 2 may have been unfair. I don't think there was anything I said there that is untrue. And if you'd like to suggest that there is, you can say that. Well, but just let me just finish the question. What is it going to take, given all the evidence of what the president said is untrue, what is it going to take for him to retract and apologize?
So let's go back on the wiretapping. There were reports in the Washington Post, the New York Times, and the McClatchy papers that there were intercepts or the administration had been monitoring the Trump campaign. The head of national intelligence for the Obama administration said that there was no collusion. They found absolutely no evidence of it. But clearly, reading those press reports, there was an investigation. So it would be hard to believe there was no surveillance whatsoever.
Wait, but that's not what the president.
You keep saying.
I'm talking about what the president tweeted. The president accused President Obama of illegally wiretapping.
Well, and the president said that he wants to have an investigation. And if you listen to what you said, it's pretty clear that there actually has never been an investigation of it, and that neither the House or the Senate committees have actually investigated. They just say, at this time, we don't have any evidence of it. But I think there's a bigger story here.
After being briefed by the FBI director, and Chris, wait a second, you know that the president could simply ask his attorney general, he could ask his FBI director, he could ask the CIA director, he could ask the director of national intelligence. Everybody who's been briefed on this says there is no evidence. The president has not provided any evidence. There's been overwhelming evidence to the contrary. So, but I take it from your point that based on what you know right now, that as far as you can tell, the president is not going to retract or apologize.
Well, I don't speak for the president. You're going to have to ask him what his plan is on that. I do think that the press is harping on this. Look, there was a recent poll that showed that 54% of Americans believe that the press is too aggressive in their attacks on the president. We've never had a situation where the press is basically part of an opposition political party.
We've never had a situation, Chris, where the president has accused his predecessor of a felony.
Well, I think that this is something that needs to be investigated. I'm waiting for the evidence just like you are on the allegation. So, but I do think when you look at the broader scope, you're not talking about any of the president's achievements. We've never had a president this successful using just the bully pulpit opening, getting companies all over the world to bring jobs. He's getting NATO countries to increase their budget, which would help save Americans money. And the health care plan, he was willing to tackle one of the most serious problems that we have in this country. And yet we're always focused on one little tweet or something like that. And I think the American people out in the heartland have a different view than people like you, George, in Washington.
That may be. But, you know, it's one little tweet that accused his predecessor of a felony. The FBI director coming to Capitol Hill tomorrow is going to publicly testify